All right, good Friday evening to everyone here. Tonight is our Utopian Baseball Universe North Division preview show, the biggest and perhaps the best we've ever done. We've got four Hall of Famers here tonight. We got Geeker Cruzen representing the Cubs,
Hello.
Justin Pfeffer going to represent the Minnesota Twins, Matt Derby with the Detroit Tigers, and Andrew Pfeffer, the host of Bowling with the Pfeff. The human on this panel I've known the longest, Andrew Pfeffer. It's going to be the Milwaukee Brewers representative tonight. Jamie Howell might be joining us. He'll represent the Pirates. If not, I can handle that as well. And then the Reds and Guardians, I'll handle at the end of the show. But I want to welcome you fellas to the North Division preview show. Opening day is 5 weeks away. You guys are going to have a say in filling the last roster spots, but I'm going to tell you guys the same thing I told Mike a couple weeks ago and our guest last week. We can't get everyone in. Some spots have been predetermined, but the reason I have you on tonight is to remind me of any oversights or mistakes I've made. Nothing on my spreadsheet is in stone as far as new players. So we want to try to make everyone happy a little bit tonight. And I'm going to kick it off with the White Sox because I'm wearing the hat. And I'm going to be wearing all 8 North Division hats tonight. And I'm probably just going to kind of go down the line here with what my spreadsheet says. Actually, if you guys watched last week's show, and this will not happen tonight because I've been kind of prepping for this. We got all the way through it. And at the end, I was signing off and I'm like, shit, we didn't do the Yankees. We forgot the Yankees. How many championships do they got to win to earn a spot on the show? So
the hatred is that big.
I know. So
I was gonna say, I kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, can we do that every year?
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you take last place, you're not going to be featured next year. But we're going to make sure that we don't make that mistake tonight. I don't think any of these teams are universally hated. Maybe one, but no. All right, so we're going to start with the White Sox. The White Sox were a playoff team a couple years back. They took a step back last year, but on paper, this is a very talented team. And again, we're not going to go over, the entire 40-man roster for all these teams. We're gonna cover who's new. And then kind of go over the big names. So when you think of the White Sox, we think of guys like Frank Thomas, Shoeless Joe Jackson, one of my favorites, and he's actually a member of the Utopian Baseball Universe, Jack McDowell. I love Bobby Thigpen growing up. But then you got some of the newer guys like Jose Abreu, Tim Anderson. Some of the guys we're bringing in this year, and again, the theme is the 19th century players, kind of the older players that maybe we forgot about 2 years ago. We're going to be adding a catcher named Ray Schalk. We're going to be adding a former Brewer, actually, to the White Sox roster. Ray Durham is going to compete for some at-bats at second base. I've got a gentleman named Willie Cam at third base. Former World Series MVP Jermaine Dye is going to be making his debut in the Utopian in 2022. And then again, some older names, John Clarkson and Ted Lyons at starting pitcher. And again, a lot of the other obvious names are here. Robin Ventura, Harold Baines, Carlos Lee, Lance Johnson. Is there anyone obvious? And I'll ask anyone that wants to chime in that I'm leaving off of this White Sox team. Again, they could be represented on another team. All of these gentlemen that I've named so far, these are suggestions. Nobody has inked their contract yet. So if there's an obvious one I'm missing, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Is Burley on the team?
Yeah, Mark Burley has been for the last couple of years. I think we've slated him as the 4th starter.
Gotcha.
So we got Burley.
One I had for sure.
Yeah, we got Chris Sale. Sure. Chris Sale's my daughter's favorite all-time pitcher on any team. So Chris Sale, we got Giolito, we got Big Ed Walsh, Jack McDowell, and then again adding some kind of older names there. I think we got all the obvious ones.
I suppose Fisk will be with Boston and not with Chicago.
Yeah, Fisk is with Chicago because I didn't even know he was a Red Sox until a couple years of me being a fan. I'm like, oh, what's this 1975 stuff going on here? Oh, it's Carlton Fisk. So I do have Fisk with the White Sox. Like if you're looking at a kind of an everyday lineup for this White Sox team, it's probably going to look like this: Fisk, Thomas, Eddie Collins, Ventura or Mancada, Tim Anderson, Ozzie Guillen at short. Outfielders, you don't have any like just all-time. I mean, Joe Jackson, I guess, was an all-time great. Oscar Charleston, one of the greatest Negro League players of all time. Harold Baines, Scotty Poe, Carlos Lee. And then in the bullpen, you got Bobby Thigpen, Hoyt Wilhelm. I mean, again, on paper, a lot of these teams look great. I think this is going to be a team that can compete. Frank Thomas is the only guy in the history of the universe to hit 4 homers in a game. Big Ed Walsh was a big factor in 2020 when the White Sox made the postseason. I think they're ready to go. And again, we've got an hour. If anyone's watching too, or you're a White Sox fan, if you want to chime in, we'll try to get all of your favorites on the White Sox. But we're going to actually transition into the Detroit Tigers. Matt Derby's here. So let me change hats. Here we go. Got my rustic Tigers hat here.
Yeah, looking good.
All right. Feels good. Now, all I need is that Magnum PI mustache, and I think we're ready to go. All right. Now, again, Tigers, playoff team in 2020. Jack Morris was the most valuable pitcher in the first year of the Utopian. Tons of talent. Hank Greenberg, Whitaker, Trammell, Ty Cobb, Sam Crawford, Cecil Fielder, Miguel Cabrera, Justin Verlander. I mean, this is probably one of the most talented teams roster-wise. But the positions we're looking to fill, and again, these are suggestions. We're going to get Matt's take on some of these. At second base, we have Whitaker and Charlie Gehringer. One of the names that I was thinking of was Dick McAuliffe, again, older player. Travis Fryman was a guy I kind of grew up with in the 90s, played a little third sack for Detroit. Shortstop, Huey Jennings. And then the outfielders we have in mind were Willie Horton, Harry Heilman, again, 19th century player, I believe, and Bobby Higginson. And then pitching, adding Hal Newhouser and Michael Fulmer. Matt, were a couple of these names were guys that you maybe suggested at some point? Or?
I know last year I remember specifically putting a plug in for Fryman, and I was talking. Fryman was always one of those guys who I thought was just this great player on these perennially bad teams.
Yeah.
I think to get him on a lineup here of these other Utopian players where he can actually have some guys around him in the lineup, I think he's paid his dues. This is a good spot for him. I was looking, Fox Sports actually had their 25-man all-time Tigers roster, and they actually had Fryman as the starting all-time third baseman, which I thought was a pretty high on.
Yeah, I mean, we for the purpose of the universe, because I got to keep that bat in that lineup, I've got Cabrera at third and Greenberg at first. So it's going to make it harder for Fryman to get everyday at bats. But again, even guys like Gehrig and Ripken are going to sit probably once a week so that we can get everyone some at bat. I love Don Mattingly, so that's the example I always give. We're going to get Don Mattingly at least to start a week. We'll make sure that Fryman gets some at bats this year for sure.
Sorry, I cut out. I don't know if you caught anything I said there. I was talking about Fryman, then there was some connectivity stuff.
Yeah, so I think the last thing I heard you say was that you were happy to kind of get him in with who we already have here in the universe.
Right, and as I was noticing that Fox Sports had their 25 all-time Tiger lineup, and they actually had him as the starting third baseman, which was a pretty high honor.
Yeah.
You mentioned McAuliffe, possibly. I think he played more short than second, or maybe he played both. But I'm sentimental to Whitaker just from when I grew up. I see you can make an argument for Gehringer, obviously, but I'm sentimental towards the 80s guys, so my bias might win sometimes.
Sure. And keep in mind, too, we're going from 30 to 40. So, like, the obvious guys like Whitaker and Gehringer are always going to make the roster. we're trying to fill like these, spring training roster invitee spots, if you will. Some of these guys are going to have a bigger impact. Some of these guys might not make the opening day roster, but if I had a choice, I think Whitaker would be my second baseman. I'd probably choose Cabrera at third, but we're gonna make sure that Fryman definitely makes the roster this year. Somebody in baseball life, when I do my daily Mount Rushmore, somebody, and I don't know if it was you, Matt, or if it was somebody else, someone said you got to get Willie Horton in there. They said
it wasn't me, but I would agree with that.
Yeah, they said it was his father's favorite, and I said, yeah, we'll definitely make room for him then. I don't know much about Harry Heilman, but history indicates that he was kind of an all-time great for the Tigers. And Bobby Higginson, a more recent player. I'm not married to the idea of having Higginson. If there's a strong sentiment for somebody else,
of the recent players, a guy I always kind of liked, in the early 2000s and late 90s was Damian Easley, who sort of played everywhere. I associate him as a second baseman, probably more than any other position, but he was a utility guy. But he was someone I rooted for a while.
Let's add him. Let's add Damian Easley to the roster.
I know he played, all over the place, but he spent most of his career in Detroit, so I think he'd be a nice addition. I'd be happy to see.
Did he play a little bit of outfield?
He did. He played pretty much everywhere except pitcher and catcher.
Let's add him.
I picture him as a second baseman, but we can put him anywhere, and even if he gets him off the bench at bat late in the game.
Yeah, let's do it. Does anyone oppose to Bobby Higginson waiting a year? Because again, these are fluid. We're going to add every year. We're going to make adjustments as we go. But I say we go for Easley over Higginson then for 2022.
Joe, who's the catcher or catchers on Detroit?
Catcher is one of the positions for the Tigers that has been pretty much the same the last 3 years. We have Mickey Tettleton, Lance Parrish, and Bill Freehan.
Okay. I was going to ask about Freehan. Yeah.
I love Tettleton. History would indicate that Freehan is probably the guy, and then the guy I grew up with was Parrish. So you're kind of hitting all cylinders there, and I can't think of an obvious fourth one, to be honest.
I would say Pudge, but I'm sure Pudge is spoken for in Texas.
Yeah, we got Pudge in Texas. So how are we feeling about this roster, Matt? Again, you got solid catchers. You got Greenberg and Fielder at first, Norm Cash, Trammell, Harvey Keene. Although there are rumors that Harvey Keene, if the Brewers get off to a slow start in the Utopian, this is a team that took 7th place in year 1, 8th place in year 2. Does Harvey Keene come back to Milwaukee and maybe take over the managing position from the Brewers? Now, that's something that Andrew will have some say in at some point. But
in 10 years, if we have this conversation, maybe Javier Baez will make enough of an impact now in Detroit, late in his career to be a factor that no one saw coming.
Sure,
got to win a World Series.
I don't think Hinch is going to usurp Leland or Anderson for the manager job yet, but
sure.
We'll see. I think the 2022 MLB Tigers are a hungry team trying to compete, but we'll see. I don't know if Baez has the years, like he did in Chicago or not, but
sure. And for now, we don't really have player movement, and Baez is actually on the Cubs roster, so we'll see. Maybe year 4, year 5, what we want to do with that. I've already made promises to people's kids within this group that your favorite's not going to be moved because they're moving in Major League Baseball and you're upset about it. I don't want to do the same. Like, oh, you like Francisco Lindor? He's a Met now. Sorry. All right. So let's actually move on to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And Matt might be helping me on this team too. Jamie Hall is going to be with us tonight. Actually, when we covered, when I interviewed Ethan Bryan a couple weeks back, he made some suggestions for the Pirates. Again, this is a very stacked team. You got Roberto Clemente, Willie Stargell, Bill Madlock has won 3 batting titles. You've got Andrew McCutcheon's won an MVP. Smokey Joe Williams had a great year last year. Actually led the league in strikeouts. Negro League Hall of Famer. And then, you got some characters. You got Mike LaValliere, Kent Tekulve, Al Oliver, Hannes Wagner, arguably one of the greatest shortstops of all time. The guys we're adding this year, are primarily the older players. So we got Manny Sanguillen at catcher, Jake Beckley at first base. That's a much older name. One of my favorite modern players, he actually played for both the Brewers and the Mets at one point, is Neil Walker. So we're going to add Neil Walker to the Pirates. And then we got some Hall of Famers, Pie Traynor, Dick Grote, Paul Wainer, Ethan Bryan suggested Bill Verdon. And then we've got starting pitchers. Charlie Buffington is going to be the 19th century draft pick for the Pirates. Babe Adams. And then adding some relief pitching help because they struggled in the bullpen last year, David Bednar. So again, is there what obvious names am I leaving out? Now, actually, before you answer that, Bobby Bonilla is not represented. Do we go Bonilla?
He's still being paid by the Mets. He can't.
He can't. He legally
Yeah.
can't.
I think Bill Verdon just having died this past November, I think that'd be a nice tribute to add him this year.
Yeah. And I don't have any, Wayner's a Hall of Famer. I don't really know much about Max Carey. Who would you guys like to see, like Max Carey or Bonilla? Because I think Bonilla is worthy. He's got it can't just be about this annuity. He's got to
What team is Bonds on?
The Giants.
I'm less on Bonilla then.
Yeah.
Max Carey, 10-time stolen base leader, was part of the 25 World Series team. I mean, I think he has more of a pedigree than Bonilla does.
Got a better resume. So, and again, if you're not seeing your favorites tonight, there's going to be a season 4. The schedule's already done. So, Bobby Bo's just going to have to collect that 1.1 million or whatever he gets. Feeling pretty good about this Pirate team. Playoff team last year. They lost the wild card game to Cleveland, but tons of talent. Ralph Kiner, Roberto Clemente, Dave Parker.
Is Murtaugh your manager or is Tanner?
Tanner. All right.
Joe, he might not have been good enough to make this Pirates team, but for some reason my mind keeps going to Andy Van Slyke.
He's on the team.
He is on the team. Okay.
Yeah, he's like the 9th outfielder, but he's there.
All right. As long as you got that guy, you're all set.
He's in the team picture. All right. Before we get to Geeker and the Cubs, we got a comment here. Let's see if we can answer a question. This is my first year. I chose the Padres. How are the rosters selected? Is it pre-selected? Sorry for newbie question. This is exactly what we like to hear. Thank you for watching, by the way. This is one of my favorite members of the group, Facebook user. How the rosters are selected. So basically in 2020, I made my best attempt to just create a mix of all-time greats, some of my favorites, and then a good handful of current players. And then every year we add players. So some players go away for maybe a year or maybe never come back, but we try to keep it fluid to keep it interesting. This year, it's very interactive. So the gentlemen joining me tonight are having a say in the final spots. And then if anyone's watching, if you have opinions too, we're going to consider everything. We're going to try to make everyone happy with at least a piece, whether it's adding someone to a roster or creating a starting rotation for the season or, a batting lineup for opening day. So thank you for the question. Great question. We actually did the Padres 2 weeks ago. The only guest I had that night was a Padres fan, so he pretty much had the whole say for the whole division that night, Mike Sisko. Again, great question. Thank you for watching. Let's get to the Cubs and Geeker Cruising. Geeker, quick plug for your business.
Yeah, man. It's Geeker Gaming. Check me out on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. You can join Geekers Emporium, my group on Facebook as well. It's just like a pop culture group. And I'm just all into video games and board games and tabletop gaming. And I'm going to be creating content for people to watch online. And I sell stuff online.
I love it. By the way, I forgot to put on the Pirates hat. We're going to put it on for 2 seconds and then it's out of there. So there it is. Pittsburgh Pirates. Get out of there now. Here we go.
That's our Ramos Ramirez tribute.
Ramos Ramirez, and he is on the roster. So
is that it? Is it maroon?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
Good stuff, buddy.
All right.
It's just that easy, people.
All right. So again, the Cubs, we got players from every area here. We got Sammy Sosa, led the universe in RBIs last year. You got Ryan Sandberg, Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant, Ernie Banks, Javi Baez, Shawan Dunston, Billy Williams, Fergie Jenkins, Carlos Zambrana. My favorite pitcher of all time, Mark Pryor. I'm going to add Leon Durham.
Nice.
One of my favorites growing up, the Bull, as it were.
Yes.
And then again, a lot of these players are kind of the older guys that we're suggesting here. The 19th century player for the Cubs is going to be Mike King Kelly.
Yes, that was my suggestion. Good stuff.
I think you were maybe even the guy that suggested that when this idea came about. Three Finger Brown.
Nice.
Clark Griffith. Stan Hack is, kind of on the bubble for third base. Billy Herman at second, and then Gabby Hartnett, who I probably should have had from day one.
Gabby should be our starter.
He probably will be the starter on opening day. I loved Jody Davis growing up. Jody Davis is Scott Moser.
Fan favorite. Player. But if you look at his WAR.
Yeah, there's no WAR for Jody Davis. You can replace Jody Davis.
No, I'm from Peoria. He coached there for a couple of years, so
yeah,
fan favorite here.
No, I like him too. And I'm, by the way, didn't mean to make fun of the Davis household. We love Jody Davis. You're not replaceable. You're not replaceable.
No.
WAR is, you guys watch Tuesday when I talked to JC from TikTok. I don't understand WAR. I don't understand how it's calculated. He's going to try to explain it this Tuesday. So what names are we missing here? We've got, again, Maddox is a Brave. Dawson's in Montreal. What are the obvious ones maybe that I'm missing here?
You got Ferguson Jenkins in the rotation.
I got Fergie Jenkins, opening day. He's already been deemed opening day starter for a third straight year for David Ross is actually skippering this Cubs team.
We'll see.
For now. I mean, because I got Madden in Tampa Bay, and I really couldn't think of, I wanted to get, like I said, a mix of favorites and current. So again, Cubs haven't made the playoffs in 2 years. I think if you miss it 3 straight years, then Geeker's going to have, I think, final say in that decision.
That's why I wanted my catcher upgrade.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get it. Yeah, and again, too, being on the show comes with its perks, because come opening day, we're going to do an opening day theme show at some point. I'm going to say, Geeker, give me that starting lineup. Give me everything from the order to who's playing today. But who else are we potentially missing here?
Can you run through the pitchers real quick?
We got Fergie Jenkins. We got Carlos Zambrano. We got Mark Pryor.
Okay.
We got Rick Sutcliffe. Kerry Wood. And then we got Kyle Hendricks, Jake Arrieta, Mordecai Brown, and Clark Griffith.
Okay. So there's 2 guys on my list I wanted to bring up. Hippo Vaughn. Not sure. And Lon Warneka. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
Those are both pitchers?
Yep. Older school.
Neither one of them represented. I'd be happy to, I'm not, again, I don't know much about Clark Griffith, and I'm not a huge fan of Kyle Hendricks. So, I'm going to give you the final call on those 2 final spots there.
Just in my research, those guys came up a couple of times on the top pitchers of all time for the Cubs.
Okay.
I'm cool with Hendricks for sure. Who was the other one?
Clark Griffith.
Let's try something new with Hippo Vaughn. Upgrade. See if we can get a pitching upgrade.
Hippo Vaughn for Griffith.
Yeah.
Okay, that works for me.
New pitcher, new battery. See how that works.
There we go. Lee Smith, of course, going to be closing games. We got Ryan Dempster, prankster, locking down those 8th innings at Wrigley Field.
I like Dempster a lot.
We got Alfonso Soriano, Jason Hayward, Bob Dernier. A lot of talent here. And
I was okay with position players other than catcher.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Cubs, lock it in. Geeker cruising the GM here. We're going to see, hopefully we're going to see Geeker a lot more when the season starts. We're trying to figure out the Xbox thing. I was telling Geeker before the show, Xbox games are going to start March 25th. I'm I'm having a hard time syncing Xbox to a new TV. I'll figure that out. I've got 5 weeks to figure that out. So, all right. We got another comment here before we get to Andrew and the Brewers. Let's see. Sorry, I missed it. I work graveyard. I will look it up and watch. I'm a baseball fan, so thanks for inviting me. Again, Facebook user dominating the comments tonight. That's why I always say Facebook user is my favorite member of the group. Glad to have you here. Thanks for watching. Let's get to the Milwaukee Brewers. Andrew Pfeffer, you command a lot from your Utopian Brewers. They have not given you a playoff appearance yet. 7th place, 8th place. Council maybe on the hot seat. Harvey Keene, Tom Trebelhorn, all looking to give this team a spark. So much talent, so many characters. Yount, Molitor, Thomas, Cooper, Deere, Yelich, Braun, Higuera, Sheets, Nieves, Hader. I mean,
there just isn't much to say. I mean,
they just got to
they got to execute. Yeah,
they got to figure it out. So some of the holes, and actually, when Andrew and I had a catch a couple months back, we actually talked about some of the roster spots that we're looking to fill tonight. Let's see if a lot of those stand again, because none of these are really set in stone. Catcher, I know we were talking about Charlie Moore, possibly a Bill Schroeder. Where are you sitting right with that third catcher slot for the Brewers?
Boy, if you're talking between those two, I'd lean toward Charlie Moore.
Yeah.
Better,
is there another name? Like, I wanted to add Manny Pena, but then he left, and it's like, I don't know if I want to add a guy who just left. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, Joe, before I let you guys continue.
All right. Justin's got an opinion here.
I can't let you talk about the Brewers with a Cubs hat on.
Thank you, by the way.
No offense, Geeker, but I mean, come on.
I wasn't going to say it.
Justin's my hat consigliere. He's my Sylvia Dante of hats tonight.
That feels a little better.
Feels a little bit better. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. And frankly, Andrew, I'm sorry that you didn't catch that.
I'm looking up here, and the screen's down here. Yeah,
No, the hat technology. And probably the teams that were the teams that we covered the last 2 weeks, I bet fans of those teams are wondering, like, I want fucking hats on my show. We'll get them next year for sure. All right, Charlie Moore, not to be confused with Howard Hessman, who passed away recently, who played a character named Charlie Moore on Head of the Class. Not the same Charlie Moore. Not the same Charlie Moore. All right.
You're sure?
I am sure of it. All right, second base, we got Weeks and Gantner. Weeks is one of my favorite Brewers of all time. Gantner is, just Jim Gantner.
Mm-hmm.
What about a Fernando Vina to try to elicit a hit batsman late in a game to try to get on base?
So, boy, and Gantner's not in the mix as of right now?
He is in the Weeks and Gantner are the first two at second base.
Two. Okay.
Then try to add a third.
We're looking for third.
Yeah, Vina is the only name that I could come up, because I've got Keston Hira in Durham.
Okay. I was going
to try
to
build that up a little bit. I just can't think of another one, but if you can shed some light.
They struggled at that position for so long.
Yeah.
And yeah, boy, I'm okay with Fernando Vina.
Vina, okay.
Yeah, I mean, he played during some awfully lean years, and
sure,
we're kind of in some lean years in Utopian right now, so kind of fits.
And again, he's known. When I think of Fernando Vina, I think of getting hit by baseballs. So, again, you got a team down 1 in the 8th. You got.
Mm-hmm.
Some big bats potentially following, depending where we hit them. Let's get the guy on base.
The Roger Dorn of this franchise.
He is. He's gonna own the Brewers at some point. Third base, obviously, no DH in the Utopian. Now, if now's the time to join the Utopian Baseball Universe, because now we are the only entity in the world with no DH. There will never be a DH. And if anyone disagrees with that, I will fight you at the end of the show tonight. Paul Molitor is going to play a little third sack for the Brewers. Brewers had an interesting draft pick last year with the Negro League the players that we added. A guy who plays third and he pitches, Martin DeHigo. Two guys I have in mind, Andrew. Jeff Cirillo was on this roster a couple of years ago. He didn't get a lot of at-bats. He didn't really do very well. Another guy that I kind of, was aware of as a kid, he actually still, I think, owns the record for consecutive airless games at third base, Don Money.
Oh, boy, that's a tough one between those two.
Yeah, so I'm going to leave it up to you because Cirillo was on the roster 2 years ago. When we cut from 33 to 30, he was someone we sacrificed. But now that we're really adding to it, I'm gonna give you the call there. Kevin Seitzer's in Kansas City, so
okay.
You got other names. You got Casey McGee.
Yeah,
he's available. What are you thinking here?
I'll take Don Money by a whisker over Cirillo, but yeah.
All right.
I think those are two decent, solid choices, but yeah, I'll give.
Money would have been on the 82 pennant team, wouldn't he have been?
I think so.
Was he around
awfully close.
He was hurt. He didn't really he wasn't a factor late in that season, but I think he was in the 81 team that made the postseason.
Okay.
And he, most of his resume is like mid to late 70s, but I think he would be a solid choice. Obviously, Yount can play some outfield, obviously, but we got him playing short. We also have Bill Hall. How can you not have a Dale Swaim?
Yeah.
But
That's
there's also J.J. Hardy.
Okay. And we're talking prime J.J. Hardy. So
prime J.J. Hardy, like Dale Swaim gave us my favorite Brewers memory ever.
Yeah.
And again, I can't stress this enough, just in case like Dale Swaim's granddaughter's in the group. I don't want to, ruffle feathers, but if we don't see your grandpappy this year, maybe at some point we add him. But that's a tough call. I think what Swaim gives you is switch hitter, a little bit more pop. I would say the guy hit 25 home runs, hitting ninth. J.J. Hardy is, I think, going to make contacts, solid defensive guy. But I'm going to leave it up to you, Andrew.
Boy, I feel like I'm kind of going the wrong way on this, but I got to lean toward J.J. Hardy.
J.J. Hardy,
yeah.
Welcome to the universe. And again, Dale Swaim, I maybe at some point council needs a bench coach.
Sure.
You did go 7-5 in 2008 to make the playoffs. I mean, it didn't warrant even getting an interview for the
right.
I still don't understand really what went down there, but
that was crazy.
For the outfielders, we're going to add. We've got Corey Hart, Hugh Duffy is the 19th century addition for the Brewers this year, and then popular player. I was critical of him a little bit, but in the end, I really like the player, Carlos Gomez. Mm-hmm. That is unless Justin wants him for the Twins.
You can take all cargo you want.
Okay, Justin's tactfully passing on Carlos Gomez. What do you think of those three outfielders, Andrew? You pretty happy with those?
I'm good with that. I'm okay with Carlos Gomez. Yeah.
Steal you a base, little spark plug.
Swing out of his shoes. Oh yeah.
There you go.
With no DH, do you have Greg Vaughn playing any outfield, or is he off the roster?
I have Greg Vaughn because it was so hard to fill the Padres. I have him in San Diego. I think that's where he hit 50 too. So,
I think so.
I have Vaughn there. The outfielders are so outfield in Milwaukee is an interesting position because I have two of my favorite all-time players are Rob Deere and Gorman Thomas. Now, they are not. I don't think anyone would argue that those are even close to being two of the best. Because you got Yelich, you got Jenkins, you got Braun. Ben Ogilvy won a home run title, but I did create it. So Gorman and Deere are going to get a lot of the starts. Yeah. So when we're adding outfielders here, again, Carlos Gomez, pinch runner, steal you a base. Corey Hart, we need a tall blonde. We have a quota for tall blondes, but those are going to be my guys. I got Jeff Jenkins here. Pitching, we got Teddy Aguirre is my all-time favorite pitcher. Any era, any team. I love Teddy Aguirre. Ben Sheets, I think, has deserved possibly an opening day start. He's pitched really well the first 2 years of this. Brandon Woodruff, Juan Nieves, Pete Vukovich. Unfortunately for Brewers fans, Corbin Burns was drafted by the Montreal Expos before he won a Cy Young, like a year before he won a Cy Young. So no Corbin Burns, but I did make a promise to my daughter. We're going to add Randy Wolf this year.
Okay.
Her all-time favorite Brewer.
Nice.
But for the final starting pitching slot, we've got some options. I was thinking Chris Capuano.
Okay.
But we've got, some names from when we were kids. You got Bill Wegman out there, Jamie Navarro, I don't know, Dave Bush.
Is Mike Caldwell spoken for?
Mike Caldwell is spoken for. He has not pitched very well. I don't know if he's going to make the initial 5-man rotation to start the year, but he's on the roster. A Yankee killer. I think he had 23 complete games one year in 1978. Wolf is going to make the roster because of my daughter, but Capuano is, I think, expendable here. Is there a name what about a Freddie Peralta? I would love to add.
Oh, yeah.
A current name. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll take Fastball Freddie. Yeah.
Fastball Freddie. Is that a real nickname? Was that improvised? I like it.
I've heard it a few times before.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Maybe it was in my own mind, but I've heard
And then
it.
Consideration, I'd love to see a Mike Fetters make the bullpen. I know he was one of those guys who had such a unique kind of stance there on the mound. He'd kind of do that head thing and stare you down. And
so we can definitely make that happen. Fetters was on the 2020 roster. He didn't make the 21, but some of the names for this roster, and again, this is the Brewers have been consistently bad in the bullpen the first 2 years. I could put Fetters in and maybe take out a Derek Turnbow.
I'd be all right with that.
You okay with that, Matt?
Yeah.
I'll yield to the experts here, but just a guy I liked, and if you're going to put him somewhere, he played for a whole bunch of teams, but most of the years in Milwaukee, and just a fun personality guy.
And to be honest, when we created these rosters initially 2 years ago, personality and character has the same weight for me as resume. I want to get as many of the guys that I liked as possible. So guys like Gorman and Deere and stuff. So we're gonna keep Fetters on there. We're gonna add him to the 2022 roster. We're gonna give Derek Turnbow the year off, to figure it out in Utopian AAA. All right, let's see. Next up is going to be Justin Pfeffer. Let's put on the new hat.
There you go. Now you got it down.
Here we go.
You've done this a time or two.
Minnesota Twins. Justin Pfeffer, man of many shoes, and three caps hanging in the back. He's wearing one now, so we know he has at least 4 caps. Give us real quick, Justin. Give me your Mount Rushmore. Who's your favorite 4 Twins of all time? We're going to make sure that they're here unless they're on another roster.
Ooh, my favorite 4. Well, I know one of them is on another roster. So
who's that? Paul Molitor?
Well, it's not Paul Molitor. It's Jack Morris.
Jack Morris, yeah. All right.
I got a special place in my heart for Jack Morris.
Mr. Game 7.
Yeah. Outside of Jack Morris, you got to go Kirby.
Kirby definitely represented, made the roster.
For me, probably my all-time favorite. From there, it's tough. I'd love to tell you guys like Harmon Killebrew or Tony Oliva, all-time great players. I obviously wasn't alive for their regime or very small when maybe we traded Tony Oliva. But I don't know. Joe Mauer, he's up there for me. Justin Morneau.
All represented, yeah. Mauer's probably going to start at catcher. Morneau. Buck Leonard is the starting first baseman for the Twins. He was the Negro League representative for the Twins. Had a pretty decent year last year, but Morneau. I promised Batting Stance Guy we were going to add Kent Herbeck this year.
Yeah.
So Justin just made a sick sound.
I understand you got to have him. In my opinion, he's a little overrated, but He's
Well,
a hometown guy. You gotta keep him on.
You know, he's not going to get too many starts over Morneau or Buck Leonard, but you know, we add a little bit of character there.
Mhm.
Yeah, again, you got some names we haven't mentioned yet. You got Rod Carew. He's the only member of the Utopian Baseball Universe mentioned in both an Adam Sandler and a Beastie Boys song. There's nobody else that can say that.
Mad hits.
Mad hits. We got some players from the Washington Senators. We got Goose Goslin, Sam Rice. We got Torrey Hunter.
I was gonna say, is there a way that we have Sam Rice? I just educated myself on Edgar Charles Rice.
Yes, we do have Mr. Rice. Has played actually really well. Obviously, Puckett and Killebrew are going to get the majority of starts in the outfield, but Rice has been playing a lot of right field. We added actually a guy who played with the Twins and the Brewers, but I think he had better stats with the Twins. We're going to add Larry Heisel to the Twins. And despite not having Jack Morris, you guys have pitching. You got Walter Johnson. Obviously never played in Minnesota, but he was, you know, Hall of Famer with the Senators. You got one of my favorites of all time, Frankie V.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even have to say his last name. It's Frankie V. Johan Santana. It kind of broke my heart not to include him on the Mets, but, you know, Mets have a lot of pitching. So you got Johan. You got Burt Blyleven. You got Brad Radke. I mean, you know.
Richie kind of struggled with Blyleven's last name on the wheel play, didn't he?
Well, all right. So I haven't watched that episode yet. I told Richie I was going to watch the last two episodes tonight, and I am. I promise you I am, but I'll have to check that out. I'm not going to lie on my own show. I haven't seen it yet. I've been working a lot, but I am going to watch that tonight.
Yeah.
Well, how did he pronounce it?
I can't even remember. It wasn't how I've pronounced it, so one of us is wrong.
One of us is wrong. Justin, what names am I leaving out here? We got you, Gary Gaetti.
Gaetti.
We got
Jim Cott.
We got Jim Cott.
Jim Cott.
Yeah, I even added Hall of Famer Chief Bender.
Chief
Bender, because you know we just needed to add two. Jose Barrios. Barrios. Yeah, I'm sorry. Very sorry.
That's all right.
Joe
You
Nathan.
can apologize to Toronto now.
Yeah. Rick Aguilera. LaTroy Hawkins in the bullpen. Let's see. Miguel Sano. Butch Weiniger. Who am I leaving out here?
Roy Smalley.
All right, so we can definitely put Smalley in. Smalley was a roster 2020. The 19th century player we're adding this year is Jack. This is his real name, by the way. This was David Rubin's suggestion. This is a real name. Let's see if Facebook bleeps me out here. Jack Glasscock.
Glasscock.
This is his real name.
Well,
And he's a shortstop, so he's probably going to win the job. But if you want to go Smalley over like Greg Gagne or Jorge Polanco, it's up to you.
Nah. I like Hip Hip Jorge.
You're happy with Polanco and Gagne?
And Gagne, I mean, come on. He's a champion.
All right. So, I mean, that's why you are the GM of this Utopian Twins roster. So pretty happy with the results here. Again, we got Knobloch. Chuck Knobloch, by the way. I don't know if you had a chance, Justin, when I last week when I re-aired Game 7. I still think the Chuck Knobloch play in Game 7 on Lonnie Smith is one of my favorite all-time plays in the history of baseball.
Yep.
The presence of mind, the genius to and it worked. Stuff like that.
I don't know if they win that game.
The pickoff where the ball went behind me, kind of thing. One of the greatest plays of all time, and for that reason, Knobloch gets a roster spot here.
Yeah, I'm okay with him. I mean, if I remember correctly, he's kind of universally a jerkbag. I think he beat a wife or a girlfriend or something. But yeah, I mean, for that play alone, he's another one that I'll kind of, I'm not going to give him a full pass, but he can be on my team.
We've got our fact checkers right now trying to determine if what the domestic dispute was. But either way, Rod Carew's the starting second baseman on opening day for the Twins. So there you have it. The Minnesota Twins of 2022 as okayed by Justin Pfeffer. Justin, do you have anything that you want to plug?
Nothing I want to plug.
A daughter now?
No. What's that?
You have a daughter?
I do have a daughter. She wakes me up multiple times a night.
And, yeah, that's how they do. That's how they do.
I think
but she poops her diaper too.
She does a great job of that. So I'll give her a plug there. Ruby Pfeffer, A1 at taking dumps.
Has Uncle Andy changed a diaper for Ruby yet?
No. And Uncle Justin never did for Carson, so
so it's going to be like that. It's
don't
it's not an uncle's duty.
We're keeping score. It's not an uncle's duty.
Yeah,
all right, where's my sister? Because I think I changed my niece's diaper like 1,000 times.
No, it's love and hugs and let
me hand you off.
Yeah,
I don't recognize that smell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else you want to add here? We got Tom Kelly, of course, skippering this team. Twins have not made the postseason, but I think they're due to make a jump here in 2022.
We do have Kevin Tapney.
We do not. Now, again, if there's someone expendable here, because we also have Brad Radke, we have Kenta Maeda. How do you fucking say
Maeda?
Maeda. Like I'm 0 for 2 in this round here. You want to add Tapney instead of one of these two gents?
I think I'll take Tapney over Maeda.
Maeda, all right.
Yeah, good play.
Kevin Tapney. Tapani.
Tapani. Yep.
There we go.
Got Herbeck in there for a power hitter.
We got Herbeck, but Justin hates him, so he's not going to get a lot of at bats.
He had that narrow window of popularity.
Sure, and again, we've seen 18-inning games. Buck Leonard might have a potassium deficiency and cramps one night, and Ken Herbeck, faces a familiar 80s pitcher, and we're going to go that route. All right, we got 2 teams left. We're not going to leave out teams like we did last week, forgetting about the Yankees. So we're going to go to the Cleveland Guardians. I just got a new Guardians ad about a month ago.
Oh,
nice.
There we go.
Nice.
Cleveland. Now, again, some of the obvious names here. We got Jim Thome. We got Francisco Lindor. We got Bob Feller, Shane Bieber, Satchel Paige. Some of the current guys, Jose Ramirez, Nap Lajoie, one of the greatest second basemen of all time, Larry Doby, Earl Averill. The late, great Doug Jones has been kind of co-closing with Jose Mesa here, but a lot of the guys we're adding are kind of the older players, but a couple of guys that I grew up with that I really enjoyed. Travis Hafner is going to be added at first base. And then this is just an oversight. Carlos Baerga has not been on a roster for the first 2 years, so he's going to make his debut this year. The 19th century player we're adding for the Guardians is going to be George Davis, and that was courtesy of David Rubin. Grady Sizemore going to make his debut in 2022. Michael Brantley. And then we're adding a couple of old school pitchers, Herb Score and Stan Kovaleski. And this is tonight I was going to ask Jessica who she wanted to add at catcher because I got Sandy Alomar Jr. and I got Austin Hedges. I'm thinking Ron Hassey. Ron Hassey, I believe, and I'll have to double check this, I believe he's the only man ever to catch 2 perfect games. So, like, if the Guardians had a night where they're like, you know what, I'm in the mood for a perfect game. Should we perfect game them tonight, fellas? Let's have Hassey catch. So, does anyone have anyone opposed to that? We had Ron Hassey to the Cleveland franchise here.
Huh? How are we looking at first and third on the Cleveland franchise?
For first base, we got Jim Thome, second in homers in 2020, Carlos Santana, and then we're going to add Hafner. And then in third, we got Jose Ramirez, Casey Blake, and Al Rosen.
Okay.
Al Rosen would be the new member this year. Again, if there's another name that I'm leaving out.
I was going to ask about two-time All-Star Brooke Jacoby.
Very familiar with Mr. Jacoby's work. Who do we take off? I think Rosen's probably got the better resume.
Yeah, I think so too.
But how about Jacoby for Blake?
Yeah, good.
Brooke Jacoby, welcome to the Utopian Baseball Universe. And the rule is, if you're a player that's added, if you want to see any type of at-bats this year, Brooke Jacoby, you better invite people into the universe. Minimum 10 invites.
That's how I get my ABs.
No,
Just think, if he joins the Facebook group after seeing this.
Let's hashtag that. Let's
know?
get Brooke Jacoby to join the universe. We have former players in the group. We have Ed Hearn. We have Jack McDowell. I apologize if I'm missing anybody else, but we've got some former players here. So yeah, that's what it looks like. We got Jose Mesa in the bullpen, Andrew Miller, Emmanuel Clace. Is it Clace or Chase? None of us know, do we? We didn't prepare. I think I Googled that 20 minutes before we were on the air today. I think he pitched last year for the team. So that's what Cleveland looks like. Again, they're going to win and lose games with a core that includes Jim Thome, Francisco Lindor, Earl Averill, Rocky Colavito, Kenny Lofton, Tris Speaker, Joey Bell, Albert Bell, whatever you want to call him.
Albert Joey.
Albert, please.
Albert Joey Bell. And now that Vina's in the universe too, so maybe we can re-spark that rivalry.
Oh, yes, we can.
All right. So that leaves us with our two-time defending Utopian Baseball Universe losing in the championship round, Cincinnati Reds. So I'm going to take off my hat. Put on my Cincinnati cap here. And again, JD Schloss is kind of our resident expert Cincinnati Reds guy. He could not make it with us tonight, so I'm going to lean on the gentlemen that are here tonight. I have really just one roster spot, and it's also catcher, because Johnny Bench is going to get the majority of the at-bats. I mean, I can't, if there's one player, I mean, when you think of the history of a position for a particular team, it's Bench and everyone else. Like Joe Oliver, I think it was on the World Series team that won in 1990. Joe Oliver's not going to get at bats over Johnny Bench in any universe. My apologies to Joe Oliver, but Joe Oliver's there for the 15 inning games. If Johnny Bench gets a blister one night, you're giving out, and people are probably thinking, why are there blisters in a utopia? There just are. Okay, it's just science.
Science.
I've been up since 4 a.m. So
I dig it, man.
It's gonna be a lot of gibberish. Joey Votto at first base. Joe Morgan, Hall of Famer, one of the top 3 ever to play the position. We're gonna add Jonathan India as a roster spot this year, Rookie of the Year. One of my favorite players all time, Chris Sabo, manning third base. You got Barry Larkin. A lot of talent in the outfield. Pete Rose, banned from baseball, not banned from the Utopian Baseball Universe.
Bet all you want, Pete.
What's that? Bet
all you want, Pete.
Yeah, you can. I mean, here there's other forms of entertainment that Pete Rose has to choose from. We got Eric Davis, we got Jay Bruce, Adam Dunn, Ken Griffey, Sr. And then we're going to add Jesse Winker and Veda Pinson this year. Pitching is pretty much what got the Reds to the championship round the last 2 years. Some unlikely names are just Johnny Cueto has been just maybe the best postseason pitcher, one of them, in the first 2 years. Tom Browning's been really good. They got Bullet Joe Rogan. Jose Rio was, I think he led the universe in ERA last year. Johnny Vandermeer, back-to-back no-hitters. And then we're adding some really old-school names, Amos Russi and Epa Rixey. You got the Nasty Boys, Dibble Myers and Charlton. So much talent here. Looking for a third straight North Division championship, third straight trip to the Utopian Baseball Universe Championship Series. Again, we need a catcher. We need a catcher. Basically, if Johnny Bench were to get jury duty, COVID, like I haven't written COVID into the storylines, but if let's say I'm hacked, and someone says, "Oh, Johnny Bench failed a COVID test. We need to get someone in here." I can't. We were looking at this reference book, Now Taking the Field by Tom Stone. There's a guy in here. What page? 233. There's a guy in here with a funny name. And I think we're just going to end the show with a funny name.
Bubbles?
Is his name Bubbles Hargrave?
Hargrave.
Yeah. You guys Googling?
Yep.
MLB.com, baby.
Yeah, we're going to add Bubbles Hargrave because it's just a fun name to say. Bubbles Hargrave.
Bubbles Hargrave.
All right. And then we'll reach out to JD at some point. We'll get his opinion about these editions, but I think we're set. Let me just make sure.
I haven't heard Concepcion's name mentioned yet, and
He's on there. Yeah, we got Concepcion. We got for the shortstops, we got Barry Larkin, Dave Concepcion, and Zach Cozart.
and a pirate killer of recent years, Homer Bailey. Is he in the rotation at all?
He's not, but
2 no-hitters could maybe make him part of the conversation.
We could definitely add him tonight. We have, I think, the most expendable name based on results for the first 2 years would be either Edison Volquez or Luis Castillo. So we can definitely add Homer Bailey, but I can't get rid of Rio. He was too good last year. We're not going to get rid of Rogan. Tom Browning's been probably the best pitcher the last 2 years. Cueto has. Browning's been really good though too.
Seaver a Met.
Seaver's a Met, Andrew. Seaver's a Met. Seaver is I'm trying to think of like
where
is Jerry Seinfeld on the Seinfeld show? Kramer a Seinfeld? No, yeah, Seaver's a Met. What about Liberty DeVito? Is he in the Billy Joel band? He's not real life, but he was. All right, I'll make that your call, Matt. Let's add Homer Bailey, but unfortunately, we're going to have to give one of these two gentlemen a year to think about it.
My gut says you can get rid of Volquez.
Okay. And the way we used, because again the pitching has been so solid for the Reds the first 2 years. I think Luis Castillo was used as more of a long reliever anyway, so he'll probably make the roster and kind of serve in that role. Outside of the Nasty Boys, you don't have like big names. You got like Danny Graves, Tom Hume, Will McEnany, and Pedro Borbon. So I think Castillo's going to probably start the season with that similar role as kind of a long reliever, spot starter type guy. I think we've pretty much filled everything here. Is there any other names that we're leaving out?
Brenneman will not be calling games in the booth for the Reds in the Utopian universe.
No, his dad will.
Okay.
His dad, yeah. Yeah. I was never a big fan of his anyway. I mean, like he was okay. Like I'm not. How do you guys feel about Joe Buck? I'm not a big fan of Joe Buck. His dad was great. Tom Brenneman, okay. Marty Brenneman, really good. There's something about like these second generation guys that just can't. I don't know. We got Sparky
like Joe Buck really ever teaches you about the game. You know, I don't really feel that he's just inherited his dad's just knowledge of the sport.
Sure. And sometimes, those they just say, "Oh, you're Marty's boy. Let's get you a job here." So I don't think the Brewers have anyone waiting in the wings named like Dylan Euchre. Like, "Oh, you're his grandson. Yeah, let's get you in here." But Euchre's got to be like close to 90. So like if he has a grandson, he's probably close to 45 himself anyway. All right, so I think we've come to the end of our show. I want to thank Geeker Cruisin, Justin Pfeffer, Andrew Pfeffer, Matt Derby. There's a Hall of Fame panel here. The next time you see this ugly face is going to be Tuesday night, having a catch with JC, a brief history of baseball on TikTok. We recorded the show a couple days ago. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then next Friday, our final division preview show, 8 o'clock Central, South Division. We're going to get Laura Stone. We're going to try to get Ethan Bryan back. We're going to get Matt Sadoff. Geeker, are you going to try to line up a Rangers fan for me?
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Nobody wants to touch the Astros. I had a hard time. I think Andrew did the Astro show last
I
year.
was going to say, I remember being on for that and struggling mightily.
I struggled too. Like I actually I did the Astros as the Mount Rushmore today on Baseball Life, and probably 2/3 of the responses were putting the garbage can in the Mount Rushmore. Like, they were cute about it. They're like, oh, Biggio,
Right.
Ryan, Altuve, a garbage can.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, again, I want to thank you boys for joining me tonight. We're going to have one more game stream at the beginning of March. We're going to do Game 6 of the 1975 World Series between the Reds and these Reds and the Red Sox, the Carlton Fisk game, as it were. Again, my thanks to Geeker, Justin, Andrew, and Matt. And we will see you again Tuesday with JC and the next Friday as we look at the South Division. Opening day, 5 weeks away. Everyone have a great night.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Have a good one, fellas.